Hello, What the Foxers. This is Amber Ross, one of your co-hosts of What the Fox podcast, just popping in with a quick reminder before today's episode. It is summertime, and this summer, Lindsay and I are doing something a little different. We are bringing back some of the most popular, some of the most well-loved, some of the most influential episodes from previous seasons, and just sharing those with you again for some new insights, some new opportunities, and for the folks who weren't with us at that period of time. So stick around, hang in there. Today's episode is going to be amazing. And we wanted to quickly remind you that we are so very grateful for our sponsor, Therapy Appointment. Therapy Appointment is built for therapists by therapists and is the practical tool for starting, growing, and managing your practice. So check them out. And just thank you so much for being here with us this summer, and we hope you enjoy.
When you don't take time to look at it through other people's eyes, take some time and reflect on what you believe in your soul, because that is the key to life. You gotta let the negativity go.
Hello and welcome back to the What the Fox podcast with your hosts, Lindsay Fox and Amber Ross. This month, we have an exciting focus for you about improvising, adapting, and overcoming, and just how we weave that into our daily lives. And we've got an exciting opportunity today to hear from Mitch Summers on his journey. And I'd love to know, Lindsay, I have all the questions, of course, but first, can you do me a favor and introduce Mitch to everybody so that we can get a little more background?
Why, yes, I can, Amber. So Mitch happens to be a storyteller, and not just a storyteller, but he is a video creator, a filmmaker, a traveler, and he's been doing this for quite some time, which we will definitely explore more in a bit. So with that being said, he is on a mission to share the best stories in the world. And arguably, he has more than 500 million views online.
That's
And
incredible.
kind of right. So, and then also more than 1 million followers online, which is just absolutely outstanding. Pretty
Very cool.
impressive, Mitch.
It is. It says a lot about the content that you're sharing and your ability to tell stories. So I'm curious. I'd like to hear Mitch's story of how you met Lindsay.
Zing.
Well, first of all, hello. Thank you for having me. Thank you so
Hello
much.
and welcome. We like to put people right on the spot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Do you want my memory of the whole Santa story?
Yes. Oh my
Absolutely.
gosh. Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
please.
So like this is the vivid memory. We might have had class together or something, but this is what stands out. So
I love that you're telling this.
So SantaCon, if you don't know what it is, maybe Google it, but SantaCon is this thing where people dress up like Santas and not necessarily the nicest kind. So you get together, it's a fun day of mayhem where you give out candy, right? Is that what we did? This is a long time ago.
Candy, shots, lots of bar hopping.
Lots of alcohol.
This sounds like so much fun.
So, yeah, it was. So I didn't know what to expect, but I remember seeing, we ran into each other at SantaCon. We're like, well, hello. And we hang out, we drink a lot, and we're going around. We do not know where we're going to go.
Yes.
We're going to almost like be dirty Santas and like, I don't know, say,
Yep.
I don't know the mission. Do we say things, mean things to people, but then give them candy or something?
Yeah.
Jokingly? I don't know.
There was a lot of crass humor going on. And I remember we got on like a bus or somewhere. Do you remember that?
I actually remember, at least my memory, maybe it's making the memory even grander than it is, but we were I was in the back of a pickup truck, I think.
Yes.
Oh my
Going
God.
down the highway, dressed as a Santa and very intoxicated, and then going towards, we ended up not knowing where we were going, but we arrived at a strip club.
Yes, we did. We sure did.
The very first strip club experience, and
And I was with you. What a pleasure. True honor, Mitch.
Like, what's our memory? Well, Lindsay and I went to the strip club together.
We went to a strip club together, and
I
it was
love
just
that. That is amazing.
It's a
it was
true
day of
story.
mayhem and fun. But
And even the strippers were dressed up. I remember a pink furry little stripper girl. Yeah, it was fun. We had a blast though. And that's how I met Mitch.
That's amazing. I love it. And I'm like, it sounds like this was many years ago, right? Like it was not, it at least has not been in the last 4 years, 5 years.
Definitely not.
time like early or late, like 2008, 9, maybe. I'm
Yeah.
guessing somewhere in that.
It was a
Okay.
while back when we, were maybe of age to drink and just kind of dabbling. We both went to the same school for undergrad, so we had mutual friends, and he wasn't a complete stranger on the street,
Okay,
like
but
other people.
like that wouldn't even surprise me because you meet the most astounding people and they're just like pulled into your gravitational force and you run with it. So
You are right. And in all fairness, this is actually Mitch's life. The same exact thing happens with him. And he has learned, frankly, how to create an entire life around it. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I love
that's
it.
just one part of the journey, but definitely
One tiny piece. So the next logical question then is like many years have passed. Have you guys stayed in contact the whole time or did you like part ways and then find each other again?
Lindsay, correct me if I'm wrong, but I would say, we were connected on Facebook. We were friends through, social media. But as far as like hanging out, I don't feel like we hung out very much. And if we did, it was very sparse. But then, life happens. We move. I traveled the world, which we'll get into. And then now I'm sort of back, but, back in my home base.
Right. So Mitch, I can think of maybe 2 key periods of time that I've talked to you pretty much since SantaCon. Yes, sure, the online chit chat or what have you, but the first time thereafter was when I remember you had your car put up for sale online. And I knew this car was like your baby. It was your baby. Like at least that's how it sounded in the description. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he's selling this car. What's going on? And I reached out to him, which I don't want to like throw off the timeline of events too much, but I did reach out to him because I saw this car posted online and I was like, what's the deal? Are you moving? What's happening? And Mitch said, I'm going to pivot. I've had a realization. I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to go move to the Philippines and I'm going to start doing this thing. And I was
That's a hell of a plot twist. Like, like what?
Yeah, mine is like the opposite side of the world, 12-hour time zone different. Yeah.
So I was like, oh, wow, didn't know you had it in you, Mitch. Like this was just a really it seemed very random to me because I wasn't a part of his regular life and didn't know if this was something he had planned and stuff. So we'll get into all of that. But then we reconnected so that was, what year was that? Probably 2017. I guess that you were selling your car and moving and all that. So yep, that was then. And then during the pandemic, we crossed paths again because he needed an N95 mask for the Man with the Iron Lung show. What should I call it? Video. Thank you.
So
the video.
That was the only way he would agree to let me film is wear that because he's a polio survivor. He's 70-something years old, has lived his life in this metal tube that breathes for him, and he's paralyzed from the neck down. So this could potentially, like, he doesn't want to die from COVID. He's made it this far.
Right.
So he agreed to allow me to film if I was tested and I wore the mask. And so I just reached out on Facebook and said, hey,
anyone have one?
Sure, I've got a bunch. Like, cool. I didn't want to buy a case of them. They're very expensive. Just figured out to reach out.
Especially at that time during the pandemic too, because
they're hard to find.
They were hard to find, or healthcare workers really needed them, that sort of thing. But to our listeners, highly recommend watching that video that Mitch has about this man because it's an incredible story, hands down. And it actually ended up getting a lot of press, by the way. Like it was like even long after you had put out the video. I remember, was it New York Post or something had it in
New York Post, Smithsonian, and a bunch of the others just found it and sort of told that story because brought it back to life. He's been covered a lot throughout his life because it's an incredible story of perseverance, but also sadness because of
Yeah.
in your entire life and an iron lung, but then
It's
going on to go to school and write a book and etc. I don't want to spoil it too much, but it's sad and incredible all at the same time. And so they ran with the story and gave it a lot of coverage.
Yeah, you honestly felt like the way that you covered it was very well done. It was beautifully articulated and really showcasing something that on the surface you can look at and say like, wow, that's kind of crazy. Look at that. But you turned it into something that was very enjoyable to watch and taught, I would argue, a whole new generation about polio and the existence of
Yeah.
polio and what that whole time was like.
And sort of as a sidebar, as a storyteller, I mean, I don't front and say I'm an expert in any subject. I literally have to, when I find a story, have to quickly become the best expert I can in a short amount of time, and then tell it in a simple but yet not boring way.
Mhm.
And that's cool because I love learning new things. So yeah,
The
I knew
shoe
nothing about
fits.
it myself until prior to making it, you know. So,
Which is, I would love to know. Maybe we'll come back to this, but I would love to know or learn how you choose your
yes.
people. You know,
Stay,
so
listen to the very end and you'll find out. Let's tease out the listen
Yes,
time.
we will.
At the
We will
very end,
come
we're going to
back to
reveal
that.
all the gold nuggets. So if you're wanting to be a content creator, a better storyteller, how to go viral, we'll circle back after the story and we banter on
man,
a little bit.
we need you here more often, Mitch.
You'll be back.
Oh, that's awesome. So we're gonna
Okay.
backtrack over
Yeah.
to like 2003, 2004 time frame of your life,
Okay.
because this is a less known time of your life. And with you being the storyteller, you're so used to telling other people's stories. And I know this kind of flips the script a little bit for you because we're kind of poking and prying a little bit today on who is Mitch Summers and how did you get to where you are today, particularly when we are thinking about this theme of improvising, adapting, and overcoming, where many of our episodes this month it's had that focus. So when we think about where you are today, it looks like wow, you are living the all-American dream. So kind of brings us back to how did you get there? Where did it all start? And if you are comfortable kind of getting into this, I'd like for you to share with our audience what life was like if you could paint a picture of what life looked like for you in 2003 at that time.
Oh, well, okay. Okay, deep sigh. So this is not the best part of my life. Like this period was pretty dark, but let's discuss it. Let's discuss it. In 2003, I graduated from high school. So now you know how old I am. It's important now. So in 2003, I graduated, and right around that time, I would say, like, let me backtrack in the late 2000s. I was partying, I was rebelling, I was experimenting with drugs. I don't know, like on the spectrum of how much was I relative to your average teenager, but when I moved out, I went to Charlotte from Fayetteville, North Carolina, so a military town, and I couldn't wait to leave Fayetteville. And when I went to Charlotte, this big city, I moved in with my uncle, and I had to commute. You know, I was going to go to UNC Charlotte, and I did for about a semester. And this period when I had sort of the reins were loose. I was able to, you know, hang out, party, do all the things. And when I didn't have that structure from my mom, who would like I'd say for the most part, pretty rigid on the rules and regulations, like when to be home and whatever. So I went a little bit wild. I think a little bit's probably an understatement. I surrounded myself with people probably not ideal citizens, people I won't associate with today, and got involved. So sure, I did the drinking, but I think what took me down really hard and really fast was drugs, and in particular opiates. So
Mhm.
I took opiates, dabbled like occasionally in late high school, which is crazy to even say as it's coming out of my
Yeah.
Yeah.
mouth. I took opiates in high school.
Yeah, but
Nuts.
you in all
I
honesty
did.
though, it was more common than like this
Probably.
is something people don't typically talk about, which is why I truly commend you for being willing to share this because I was in high school during 2003 and 2004, and for anyone who has kind of heard about the world of Oxycontin and
Yeah.
how that really jump started the epidemic that has become a huge crisis at this stage with regard to heroin and opioids. Um, this was a huge thing. So there were many people in high school that were popping pills or exploring with different things at that time, where unfortunately it was becoming normalized to a
Mm.
degree as just a cool thing to do to party.
Yeah. Yeah. And so
Yeah.
that's what I did. And so, I liked the high. I enjoyed it. It felt good. I relaxed me. I'm a like intense type A type person. And so it kind of chilled me out a little bit, but not too much.
Hmm.
So I took it when I could. Then I found a way to order it online. And this
Oh,
is in
wow.
2004, like 3, 4 era. Don't quote me on dates, but that right after high school. So
Yeah.
I'm living in Charlotte. I'm going to class. I figure out how to order it online. So I'm not just getting it from people.
Mm.
That's where an abundance, when you have this like addictive type personality where if one is good, four is better. And that's
Yeah.
how it
Sure.
was,
Hmm.
like to the extreme. And I exhibited these qualities like through in many ways. And I want to circle back to how that can be a benefit later, how these, people who are kind of the all or nothing or really intense can channel that and to do a lot of great things. But for me, when I had, this box of all these pills, I took them like Skittles.
Hmm.
And from nodding out to, and I was taking benzos, which are like your Valium, Xanax type stuff.
Yeah.
Um, not not the best moves in my life. And so my uncle and his wife, my aunt, kicked me out because they had children. I was a bad influence on their
Mm.
kids. And, I was not doing well in school. I was flunking out of my first semester. And mind you, I did fairly good and decent in high school. It was when I was let loose and had no cage.
Yeah.
I could do
Right.
whatever for the most part.
No
And
structure or routine.
I did not handle freedom very well. I was very immature when it comes to that. And so yeah, when I was kicked out, I was homeless. And it was this brief period where I'm feeling bad for myself, and that's when I decide to go into the woods with friends for a party. They're like, boo-hoo, poor me.
Yeah.
And there was drinking and drugs going on, and this led to an overdose, an
Mm.
unintentional overdose.
Mm.
And my friends left me after they thought I passed out, but
Ooh.
I was still in my car. So to remember it, I was in a lake outside of Charlotte, like a rural area. And then apparently a lady had found that I'd aspirated on my own vomit. So
Mm.
when I passed out, I threw up. My hands were blue. Lady finds me, thank goodness. And then that's what saves me. She rushes me. She calls the ambulance. They rush me to the hospital.
Oh my
At the
gosh.
hospital, like my family, gets a call and,
Yeah.
stomach and all that stuff. So, um, yeah,
And
pretty,
you almost
yeah,
died. I mean,
definitely,
that
definitely could
that is
have.
a life-altering moment right there.
Right. And so that was like, wow, a little bit of a wake up call.
Yeah.
And that led me to then go to a treatment center. And I
Oh,
wish I
wow.
could say I went one time and then things were great.
That's
But
not
as
usually
That's not
how
how
it
it
goes.
works. Yeah, that's not how it works.
as you know, even in 2000, what, 8, 9, whatever, from the first story where I'm drinking heavily, that
Right.
that's not the path I took. I will give you guys the cliff notes from here to the next. Basically, I struggled, but I battled back and forth, like in and out of different like treatment centers. I went to NA and AA, 12-step recovery programs. And there was a point around 2005 where I really, right after another experience of a near-death experience where I called the ambulance on myself. This was like a very, very scary, I was just not in my right mind, guys. I was not in my right mind. I drank a bottle of cough syrup because I knew like I couldn't get anything else. And so I just wanted to escape and get high. And so I knew that if you drank this type of cough syrup, enough of it, it would do the trick, at least sort of. But I drank way too much and I thought I was losing my mind. And so I went to a psych ward for a few days to like dry out, not detox, but the psych ward, because anyone who does this under their own will, they're
Oh
like,
yeah. Well, yeah. Clinically, we're looking more at the SI factor going on. That is suicidal ideation and what's going on with all that. Yes.
And I was like, guys, I'm not trying to take myself out. I just really wanted to like have one more, go out with a bang, not like on life, go out with a bang, like get really hot, basically.
Yeah,
You
one
see that all the
last
time.
hurrah.
Yeah, basically, I was like, this is my last time, this time. And I wanted to be the highest I've ever, and all I have is cough syrup. So I think I drank 2 bottles or something. It's nuts. Basically, I thought I broke my brain because this stuff is a disassociative. I found out this dextromethorphan is like not fun stuff. And I thought
small understatement. Small, like just a small understatement. I would like to underline that.
No, like I do not read, but this stuff is not nice. And in the amounts I consumed, it was,
dangerous.
Yeah, life-threatening. So I mean, like that's pretty tremendous. So you have been in and out of places at that point. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. So I'm in by the way, at this same hospital, I won't give the name later, I was in tech. I'll flash forward real quick. And I implemented software after I got the job and like things started turning up.
Yes.
I implemented software at the same facility and it felt weird to be like dressed
on the other side.
And I was like, this is so messed up. If they look me up in this place,
that would be a violation.
Yeah.
Which they shouldn't. HIPAA violation, but like they're gonna tell. Like I felt some shame in that hospital, going back. But anyways,
but also cool. Like what a nice story to be able to overcome and like come full circle in that same moment to say, yes, I came here in my down moment and also I'm back now, I'm helping you. So like that's
right. Like I actually have a job and I'm doing things.
Yeah, I'm doing the thing.
Wow.
So awesome. That was like my last moment, and that was around 2005. And from then on, I sort of got my act together. I'd been to a few treatment centers. I'd been to the psych ward, and after that psych ward experience, I really got very involved in AA. I chose AA just because I like the people. Like I found a sponsor in AA, and so I just liked where the meetings were and whatever. They both can do the trick.
Absolutely, but that worked for you.
Got plugged in. And I stayed clean and sober for some time. It was later in college that I remember a breakup and I decided to drink and experiment and see. And for the most part, I would say like, yes, I got hammered. Yes, I went above and beyond. But like for the most part, I sort of had it under wraps to a degree. And I felt like, I have this control a little bit. Fast forward now, I actually, present day, I do not drink, which is cool. But that's like a new thing. I drank and didn't do drugs for some time. I
Right.
didn't want to give that piece up.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And that's just it. I feel like there could be a whole nother episode of this topic here, but just this idea of you can't have fun if you're sober is complete
Mm,
bullshit. It's complete
yes.
bullshit. And I feel like we really need to smash that stereotype in acting like you can't have a fun life or fulfilling life if you don't drink. Just because there's just so much glorification around like
Yeah.
partying and being on the beach and having a good time, and that's how you get friends or the hot girls and whatever. And it's just, hello, you are living proof that you don't have to live like that in order to be any version of successful. You are happily involved with someone, you have a great career. I mean, so that's where whenever we fast forward and look at the fact that you kind of, for all intents and purposes, are living the American dream. And
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely very grateful. Shouldn't be here, uh, but I am here, so I'm glad to be.
and
Yeah.
it's right. And so let's move on to a second period of time in your life, which was in 2011, uh, which
So I just graduated. Yeah. So, which is amazing because,
huge.
like,
Which, yeah, I was gonna say, let's not minimize that, right? You chose to go to school and
go
even.
back to school because I
Mhm.
withdrew. When I first had my first overdose, I was able to medically withdraw. I was failing.
Mm,
That would have been bad for my GPA, right? Not
Yeah,
yeah.
that
yeah,
GPA doesn't really mean much, but at the time, like when, it does mean something for your
of
first job a
course.
little bit, right? So I got a medical withdrawal, which was good. But when I went to UNC Greensboro, in 2006, I had to like get letters of recommendation and
Yeah.
Mhm.
this, that, and the other, and show because I had some like misdemeanors and things like that, like not a bunch of bad things happened in my in my dark days,
Sure.
and I had to prove like, hey guys, I'm not that person anymore, and it was hard because there wasn't much time. Then I went to school, went through, graduated in 2011. So it took me 5 years because I worked a little bit and just
Mhm.
took me 5 years. That's
It
what
doesn't
happened.
matter how
It
long it
takes
took
how
you,
long it
you did it.
takes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It took me 5 years. And I got it. The degree was business, but information systems management. So I found out kind of like I'm a tech nerd at heart. I wanted to be in tech, but I don't want to write code. So I got a job at a startup. And this same startup is where later in like 2013, I'm implementing back at where I was in a psych ward earlier. Um, so I'm working the job. I get the apartment. I get the stuff and I put it in the apartment. I buy
Mm,
a car. I buy like I had always had I was one of those I worked and paid for all my cars, paid my insurance, put the gasoline in it. Like I worked hard for everything that I had. So I bought a car
Yeah.
that was $20,000. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow, this is so nice. And, had the job, but I didn't quite feel fulfilled. Like inside,
mm,
something was missing.
Mhm.
And I was playing baseball as an adult, like in an adult league, and that was fun on the weekends. And I found
Yeah.
hiking and nature and outdoors. And I really, really like was like, wow, there's so much to explore even in our state. So I was going on these trips and I planned a hiking trip with some friends. And this is where I have near death experience, maybe number two or three, or who's counting.
Yeah,
ugh.
right. Yeah. And
And
this time this isn't
Me, it's
involving.
three. It's three. Like I'm counting. I'm nervous for you. Good grief.
But this story does not include drugs or alcohol.
no, this is like if you're gonna have a near death experience, I think this is probably
This is
well,
probably a good
actually, no, we should put a disclaimer like do not try this at home.
Yeah,
Um,
do not try this at home, please.
okay, so a friend of mine, I'm a personal trainer at this point, and as well, like I did that through college. I did the waiting tables, pivoted to personal training, and it allowed me to go to class and like have clients. And I love the fitness. I got really involved in exercise. And so one of my clients was almost like a little brother to me. He was a super cool
Mm,
kid. He was like 18 years old and I'm 20 something. And I was like his mentor. he has a plane. His dad has a plane, but he's getting his pilot's license. So
Oh my
we go
gosh.
fly. So we go fly. I'm like, heck yes, let's go fly. So we
Amber's
fly
anxiety is like through the roof right now.
Just like you got into a plane with an 18-year-old
with this pilot. He was what is it?
Sure, he had a driver's license for about 2 years prior to that.
He was VFR, meaning he could fly like long as it's clear out. And
Yeah.
and so we're flying, we go around Pilot Mountain, and along the way we see like Hanging Rock. And these are the closest things near Greensboro that are beautiful, like rocky places where you can go hike without going all the way to the mountains if you're not familiar with North Carolina. But so we go to we're like, wow, we should go hiking here. And we're filming it. And so we get the bright idea to go hiking, but not take the trail. And so later we plan a trip with my friends. We go to the Hanging Rock State Park area. And yeah, we park one car at one spot, park another car at the actual parking lot, and then jump all and cram in the car, drive back to car A. And then our goal is to go from point A to point B, but try not to use the trail. It's
live and learn, baby. Live and learn.
So it's like a military style hike, like off-roading, we called it. So it was fun because we're like going through the woods, blazing our own trail.
Mm-hmm.
We get to the top of like Hanging Rock, but we have to sort of go down sometimes to keep going. And so at one of these points, I'm going down and I take the more aggressive, dangerous route down. So I'm hanging on.
Yeah, why not?
I
do the thing.
Yeah, made it this far. So I'm
why the hell not
hanging, and I realize that there's no area. I've got two hands on a rock, and there's nowhere to put my feet. So I'm sort of dangling. That's not good. So I
off of a cliff, guys. Off of a cliff. Yeah. Mitch is saying he's hanging off of a cliff.
Okay, guys, don't picture 100-foot drop off, like a 20-ish foot drop. Okay,
far enough.
Still gonna hurt.
You realize some people die from that distance, right?
Yeah. Oh, I know. And then I realized, well, I need to put my feet somewhere. I can't, so I reach over with my left hand to grab this other rock. That rock immediately breaks, and when the rock breaks, I tumble and I fall about 20-ish feet. And we were filming it with a GoPro, so it's like a GoPro Hero 2. I think the 10 is out now, so it gives you some context of like, it was like really cool to film your adventures with a GoPro at this point.
Yes, it's still really cool.
Yeah,
especially whenever it's a near-death experience, apparently, that gets caught on camera.
Of course. So
holy mackerel.
Yeah, I captured it and put it on the internet, and some shows had like picked it up. World's dumbest thrill seekers.
Is that on your resume?
Yeah, comedians make fun of me. They told me they would. They paid me a couple $1,000s to make fun of me and to use the footage for the show. Sure. And I was like, heck yeah. And then another like travel channel ran it, Wind Vacations Attack. And that one wasn't comedy. That was like our life altering experience. They produced, right? We did reenactments. It was actually fun. My friends all went back and we like pretended. They're like, all right. They're filming me. They're like, all right, you just fell. Like I have the same outfit on, the GoPro on my head, and they're like, you just fell, let out a cry. And I'm like, ugh, and then I'm busting out laughing but good times all around. I'm glad. Backing up, I thought I was going to die when I fell.
Yeah.
In this video, it was very scary. I did for a moment have that flash in between my eyes and all that stuff. I didn't want to die. It's too soon.
Yeah.
I made it this far.
Right. And wasn't your time, my friend.
Another wake-up call, like, holy crap, like life is short. Granted, maybe I shouldn't do dumb things like hang off a cliff, like lesson learned. But I I don't know. So
I mean, I'm just saying, like, if you want a thrill, I'm actually participating with the Eastern chapter of Make-A-Wish to do a hike from Hanging Rock to Pilot Mountain in May. Like, it's a marathon hike in a day, and we go off trail, but we don't boulder. Like, you can have a little bit of a thrill, but
that's
it's funny.
Now.
Yeah, it's a good speed to stay at.
Yes, but I would argue at least this particular experience in 2011 really kind of was another piece in your story that jump started you to where you are today.
I would say that it was like the culmination of the drugs, the near-death experience, the cliff fall, and the, working in, I got the job like after pulling, grabbing my, like, what do you call it? Grabbing your bootstraps and what's the term? And like persevering, rising from the ashes, whatever you want to call it, and then still not feeling satisfied.
Yes.
And so I started to really find that adventure, it was calling me.
Yes.
Sort of where I got pulled to travel a little bit, in the hike was a little taste of that. And I found myself having a lot of enjoyment, looking forward to the weekends. And of course, who doesn't? But I just wanted to see and do new things. So I got scuba certified. Before
you dive into the Dominican aspect of things, I just want to say this is like touching right on the heels of a more recent episode that we did that is about the fact that people want to, they feel like they just have to work 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, and you're working to live on the weekends, and you are hitting like hearing what you're saying is exactly what we had just finished talking about in a previous episode, which is this idea that we are working to live for like 48 to 72 hours. And so as I hear you talk about this, and when we spoke beforehand to really kind of hone in on some of the timeline, I really couldn't help but to keep, what kept entering my mind is the movie Fight Club. Do you remember that movie? And Tyler Durden. Oh,
yeah.
Right.
Yes, we don't talk about Fight Club.
I kept thinking about Tyler Durden. Yes, because he in this movie at the beginning, he's got the job and he's got his apartment full of all his stuff, and whenever he says like you are not the car that you drive, you are not the contents in your wallet, and I feel like you were having your Tyler Durden moment in combination with these near-death experiences of just like something's not working. It's time to kind of like press the reset button, or at least take some space and figure out what do I need to do next. So it sounds like that's sort of what brought you to where you were going in this story now with the scuba diving and the DR.
Yeah, that's so true. So true. Not to say I didn't appreciate my job. I mean, I earned it. I was great. Could have been. I just felt
you were missing something.
I was missing something, and I didn't know what it was. And I actually didn't quite find it by traveling. It's funny that like, wherever you go, there you are. Like,
eat, pray, love, baby. Eat, pray, love.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, what other cliches can we throw in here?
Right. We're getting a little, definitely. And I went to Bali too, which is funny.
Of course, there you have it.
Of course.
But I did feel compelled for something, and I was like, the stars were aligning and pulling me in one direction. I got the scuba certification. I planned a trip with multiple friends, and we would go on these trips. And there was, a Puerto Rico trip with friends that we went diving, a Cozumel trip where we went diving and had fun. And, at this point, like I'm like on my drugs and alcohol spectrum. I'm not doing drugs, but I'm drinking, I would say, fairly recreationally. And, I still wanted more. So I planned a trip in the Dominican Republic in 2016. And in my mind, I was like, I don't want to plan this, because for work, now I had switched from the startup to a Fortune 6 company. So it was a very big health insurance company. And like, again, the same thing. Like, it was a great job. It was the best paying job. It had the nicest office. It had all that, all the things. But I still.
And I feel like I'm coming back to like, this is the stereotypical American dream, right? You
Yeah.
have the things, you have the flashy job, but
Yeah.
you're not fulfilled and you're not happy. And like, that's the piece that
Yeah.
it gets all the glory because you have the stuff in your wallet and you have the shiny car and whatever. But if it's not filling your soul, then it's not worthwhile.
Right. Right. And so this was around this time, I also feel like I was reading Tim Ferriss and the 4 Hour Work Week. And that was like,
That's right.
My Bible. Like I'm reading these stories and,
Yes.
while it's dated in some of the websites that he gets to sort of outsource your life, some of the principles and thought, like I really aligned with what he was saying. And that was another catalyst. And like, wow, I don't want to be, he references the fat guy in the red BMW.
Yeah.
And I really was like, yeah, like I saw my trajectory is going from 75K to 100K to 120K to 150K. Saw my responsibility and management of more and more people going up. Saw my stress levels go up to just then buy a bigger house, buy a nicer car, and all these things.
That's
and
right.
I was like, man, I really want to see the world. So I booked this trip. I'm a planner. I was a project analyst and, planned and controlled a lot of like details. So I decided to do the opposite with this trip. And this was what like was very freeing. So I booked one night in an Airbnb that was $20 in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. The lady was there. The owner of it was super cool. And I had a great time.
I just need to tell you what.
The rate. I said, can I stay a few more days? I don't know how long. She's like, as long as we don't rent it, you can rent from me and it'll save us both some money. So I'm like, I just wheeled. I saved $2 tonight.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was fun. And
so you being the planner project analyst, by the way, Amber is she's a worldwide project manager for a big company. So you guys share many similarities. So I'm like, as I'm hearing you say this, I'm like, I can feel your anxiety through the screen, Amber. Like,
it's fine. I know it's fine because he's here. So I'm going to go back to my, it's fine. Everything's fine. I'm fine. But yes.
So you decided to go out of your comfort zone and you decided not to plan. Go to the DR and see what happens.
And I met a guy and he was like, oh, I'll show you around and have dinner. And then he was like, you should go up here to Cabarete. There's a bunch of expats there. So I went there on a bus. And then I met this guy who was on Ninja Warrior and his girlfriend and hung out with people that are just strangers. And then someone there was like, you should go rent a bike and ride to the jungle in the Northeast and
like a motorcycle or a bicycle?
A motorcycle.
It's like a
small motorcycle, like a 50cc, little bike.
Kind of like a moped.
I'm just trying to assess. Listen, I know that you're not risk adverse. So I'm just trying to understand, like, what was the risk in this?
We had to strap my luggage to the back, my rolling suitcase luggage, and we strapped it to the back with an old rubber intertube. So we cut that and strapped it on the back. It was like
a good time.
So let me tell you, the project manager in me is assessing the risk level of your trip right now.
Yeah.
And just like internally freaking out and losing my mind. But also the other side of my brain is like, hell yeah. Like, that's awesome that you had the presence of mind to just be like, you know what? I'm going to go do the thing, no matter how scary it is, no matter how like uncertain and, yes, I'm going to listen to this person and get on this bike and go to the jungle. Like,
they were like, you can't miss it. And I did get lost in my Spanish is, not the best. And I was in some areas that where English was not prevalent and I had no signal and, navigating wasn't really a thing, but I figured it out. Like I figured it out. I made my way to this treehouse village area in the jungle and it was super cool. It was very exciting. Had an amazing time and met friends. But the long story short of this whole Dominican Republic trip is this unplanned, unexpected journey, I call it, was the catalyst to like, okay, what do I need to do to continue doing something like this?
Yes.
This feels for the
Yes.
first time, maybe it's not just the adventure and the excitement, but maybe it is. I don't know what it is, but I feel like I want more of this. And
Yes.
I've
I
almost
did
died
definitely.
multiple times. I know going to the office on Monday and working through this next product release is not, it's cool, it's a challenge, but like I wanted more. And I
Yeah.
think when you've almost lost everything a few times, it speeds you up to be open to like taking a little bit of a calculated risk. So I
Of
Absolutely.
course.
created a plan. And this is where the planner in me is, it's smart to plan. So I saved like 40-ish thousand dollars
Holy cow.
and I quit my job in November 2017. That's when I sold the car. So some of the extra proceeds from the car went to this money. I didn't want to stress in the Philippines or wherever I was going to be.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I felt like, and I knew I wasn't going to make money. So I decided to quit my job, and I was like, what? Yeah. I didn't know what I was going to do for funds right away, but I thought, well, I can make websites. I can take pictures. Instagram is popping off. It's like 2017, right?
Yeah.
It's like 2 or 3 years into Instagram's peak. And then, I can write blogs, but video. So there was a allure of video. So I bought a video camera before I traveled.
Well,
I
plus you had been interested a little bit in the video thing beforehand with especially that cliff situation. I mean,
like tiny, like I've later, my cousin in Canada like showed my first vlog, using air quotes here, vlog that was like me with like a big Sony Handycam with a full-on VCR tape in
that's
there, like run
awesome.
around just filming people at a family reunion.
You were
So
destined for this. You were
I
destined
guess
for this.
so.
I love that.
And so I bought a video camera. I didn't know how to use it. And this is where I should have probably made videos, researched how to make videos. But because I'm analytical and detailed, I knew all about the bit rates and the 4K 60 and I bought the best camera I could afford, and I knew like all of the ins and outs of it, but I didn't know how to actually make a video. So I was going to outsource that piece in a way, and I had a buddy through Instagram that was going to meet me when I quit my job, and we were going to travel together. And his name was
cool.
And so he was from Argentina, and he was like my social media friend who also had this dream to travel the world. So he was a photographer, and my thought was his rollover from photo to video would be seamless. I would be the PM, the guy doing the logistics planning, chasing the stories, and you hold the camera and you edit it, and I'll do all the other back end stuff, all the detailed stuff. And so we had a plan. So we both went to the Philippines, and this is where
you both went to the Philippines? Oh wait,
yes,
did he met up with you there? He did end up going
with me actually in Raleigh, and then we flew to, he
Gotcha.
stayed with me a couple weeks. And well, he made it through, he lasted 3 weeks in the Philippines. Photo was his passion, not video.
Yeah.
Video making is very hard. I realized that really quick. He realized that really quick. It was
wow.
It was stressful, like editing in a hostel, with crappy Wi-Fi.
Sure. I mean, but think about this for our listeners to think about this piece is that you've quit your job, you have your savings, you've decided I'm going to partner up with this guy, go off to the Philippines, and we are going to do this thing and see what happens, right? And then you get there, you're there for 3 weeks, and your partner bails, and yet you're still there.
Yeah. So I almost quit here. So this is when I called.
I think many people would probably be in that.
Yeah,
same
I mean, it seems like a valid option. Like, it does seem like a valid option.
Yeah, I felt very alone at this point. I felt like I risked a lot and went out there, and then I respect his decision. That it was not for him, and I appreciate him recognizing that. And it was it was hard. And so at that point, I had no choice. And this is a very important thing. I had no choice but to learn how to do video shooting and editing solo. And I didn't know
One
how.
man show.
The one man band, basically. So I had no idea how to do it, but I tried and I learned and I failed 100 times. And I eventually got a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. And then, I went to different countries and I like made videos. I tried different styles of video making, and eventually it just started to click. And I had a video that went viral. And it was a video about the highest tides in the world in Canada. And I was staying with my cousin, and she took me to to the highest tides in the world. I made a video about it, and then someone saw it who is a very prevalent video maker on Facebook at the time, and his name is Nas Daily. So
Nas Daily, yes.
Yeah, Nas Daily. If you look him up on Facebook, YouTube, anywhere, you'll see him. But he was like the Facebook, like at the time, he didn't have a YouTube, he was only Facebook. And strategically, I liked this because I felt like there's a lot of content on YouTube, a lot less on Facebook. And I saw Facebook had this share button, and I saw that what he was doing. So I was like, let me go that route too. And I was able to get a video to go viral. He saw it. And later he becomes like a mentor and sort of helps coach me along the way. And we work together on many different projects, and we're friends today. I'm going to go to a conference in Dubai in a couple weeks and speak there.
No big deal.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, like casually going to Dubai, gonna be a speaker at a conference. Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
That's
you, boy.
awesome. Yeah.
So that is sort of if we're going completely linear, that's sort of what brought me throughout that whole journey of like figuring out where I wanted to go in life, and creating the schedule. Like I can control, this is from the 4-hour work week. The more W's you can control in your life, the richer you are. So where you work, so location, what you work on. I can make videos, I can make vlogs, I can make this type of video or whatever. And then where you work, what you work on, and who you work with? Like what clients?
What? Yeah.
I believe. Think.
It's okay.
Don't quote us on that.
Either
I
way,
haven't read that book in forever.
Well, either way, he's changed your life, and he was a huge factor of inspiration. So noted. Yeah, I mean, it's true though. And you really crafted a lifestyle that worked with you in that sense, in terms of your 4-hour work week. Although I'm pretty sure you worked a heck of a lot more than 4 hours.
A whole lot more than 4 hours. If I knew what was ahead of me when I started, I don't know. I think ignorance is bliss is good in this case. If you're going to do a startup or whatever, if I would have told you the amount of stress, like the failures, the pivots, because I'm skirting by the amount of pivoting I've done in my content creation journey. Like it took a lot of time to find, this is why having that 40K saved my butt, because if I didn't, I would have gone broke and gotten a job like very quickly.
Yep.
And it's very hard to be a full-time, people do it all the time. So if you're wanting to do this, go for it. But it is hard to be a full-time content creator with a full-time job. It is scripting, story picking, scripting, shooting, editing, publishing takes a lot of time,
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and especially doing it in a window of time that captures your audience, their attention span long enough to stay and watch the video, so that it is, hitting the time limits needed or what have you. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it that your average person they're not thinking about that stuff. We're just scrolling through social media.
Yeah, there's a lot.
You make it look so easy, Mitch.
You do.
Thank you.
You really do.
I do want to circle back. Oh, I'm sorry, Lindsay. Do you?
It's all right. Go ahead. I have a feeling.
I was just going to say, since we're talking about that, you did mention that you wanted to share a little of your thoughts and kind of those golden nuggets on if someone wants to get into this, like what the key things are. And I think you already shared one, and that's having a savings and not like going into it without
Well,
that
I would
piece.
first say actually, yes, sort of, but that's like a big leap. And while that works for some, probably is a bad idea for me. So how I would say is first and foremost, if you want to make videos or create content, right? I would say first, find the type of content that you feel compelled. And to do that, I always tell people this: what videos do you watch? What magazines do you read? What blogs do you read? If you're reading Architecture Digest and watching YouTubes about people doing house tours, luxury house tours, then maybe that's your niche. If you're, doing how-to videos, I think that the content, like it's one thing to say, I want to make videos, but what about? Because typically, it's like when I was in tech, I couldn't be in tech just being in tech. I needed to be in tech in something that I actually liked a little bit.
Yes.
Because otherwise it's gonna be brutal.
Yeah.
So first, try to find your niche, and to do that, it's like, well, what content are you consuming already and where? And then maybe start with that. Do you want to be a motivational speaker? Are you listening to Tony Robbins or whatever? Then maybe you want to do that route. But first, fix yourself first before you try to,
Well, yes, absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
So I was really interested in amazing people, places, and things. And I know that sounds really, that's the whole gamut, but I was like, a really cool person or this kick-ass place, and those are some of my favorite videos. And so that allowed me to so
your
that
audience loves them,
that because they can see it, right? They can see it, it's authentic. And so I sort of found that, and that's what I would encourage someone to do, more so than just save up 40K, quit your job and go travel the world.
Right.
Well, maybe make some videos about things that you're passionate about remotely first.
Right.
Learn how to shoot, produce, script, edit, the whole publish, and then see, and don't go into it for the money. That would be my another like pro tip. Don't go into it for the money. Keep your day job. Do it. Make the videos. Commit to do once every other week or something very manageable. And then on Tuesday, no matter what, or for example, Tuesday, no matter what, every other week, I'm going to do that, which means that when I publish on Tuesday, I have the rest of the week to think about a topic for my next week. Then I can start scripting early next week. And then I can shoot, by this week. And then I turn around, and by the weekend, I finish my edit. And then you still can live your life and not be stressed and still do it. And then you can always—
That's a very project management approach to setting that up. I just like you 100% used your background, your history, your experience work-wise to be able to do that. And it like that made my heart and my brain sing. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, deadlines are so key to get shit done. You want to get shit done, you need a deadline. However, you can die by the deadline if it's so stressful. So for me, like putting 4 videos out a week is gonna ruin my life. Whereas 3 is more manageable, then maybe I should just give up that potential income from that 4th video and gain some of my gain some of my life back. What's the opportunity cost of doing more? Because you always create more content to try to make more money or grow your stuff. But at the end of the day, are you sane? And so, I'm speaking like this is like daggers in me, because like this is stuff I struggle with too, is like, oh, I want to push 4 videos out per week because 4 is better than 2, but sometimes I do 2. But then I look at when I was barely pushing 1 out a week. So
that's right.
And that goes back to that all or nothing. I'm sorry, Lindsay.
Well, that's exactly what I was about to say. This goes back to the all or nothing statement that you were making at the beginning of the show. And I was wondering if you had any other tidbits that you wanted to say around that, because you said, don't let me forget at the very end, I want to comment on something about that.
Well, if you're the all or nothing type person, or very extreme, very committed, if you're the like, come hell or high water, I'm gonna get this done, or if you've been able to rise out of the ashes when you've been beaten down over and over and over again. I think a lot of entrepreneurs share this trait. It's almost like correct. Forgive me if this is offensive, but I think it's almost like an entrepreneur has to be a little bit stupid because we fail so damn much. We keep going
Hey,
to, right?
Mitch, I take this as a compliment. All right.
Okay.
Listen.
Okay.
All
Yes.
right.
So,
I got to
so
be a
like,
little stupid and crazy to go out on my own and try things and fail, then get up and try again. That's just how you learn.
exactly. Exactly. So you can use this in your to your benefit later,
Yeah.
when you're, I mean, for video making, you need to make 100 videos before you really are going to have a hit. Like, I mean, realistically, there's outliers there, but people just don't go viral on their first video. TikTok
That's
sort of
right.
takes that space, but like ultimately, like, I mean, not to belittle a TikToker because there's definitely a business mind, but like dancing to the craziest trend song isn't going to
Yeah.
add value in your portfolio in the grand scheme of life. Whereas if you're a very good storyteller, there's value that brands and stuff, there's money to be made. There's a business in that. So yeah.
We get it. I mean, we're only on month 3 of having a podcast. So we're very, very new to this game, but absolutely always ready to learn and have people like yourself on where we can kind of keep growing and expanding our knowledge base on these things. Because it's wonderful to hear other people's stories and how even through everything that you've been through, you've overcome a lot and you've now created your Tim Ferriss lifestyle that seems to be working well for you. And that's a beautiful thing. You did it.
Well,
It doesn't
You're
mean you're done
doing it.
growing. It doesn't
Yeah, I
mean
was going to
that
say you're doing
doesn't
it.
yeah, it doesn't mean
well,
you're done growing.
it's still in progress because now it's about like there's another chapter. There's a,
Yeah.
now I'm sort of almost
Yeah.
revisiting that feeling
Like
of
what's
now
next?
financially I'm not stressed, but there's fear of losing it.
Of
And so
course.
I'm working with my therapist on this. So like all of a sudden you don't make money for a while, you're pretty poor, but then you start to do better financially. And then you're like, man, but what if this goes away?
Yeah.
Like,
Right. I mean,
diversify my, like not make all, this money. I need to have multiple platforms bringing in a ton of money because if this one goes away, then I'm screwed.
sure.
And there's other stress. And then now I can fill my apartment with things and I can buy a nice car and I can do all those things. So it's like, but really, where did I get the most satisfaction? And to me, that was and I wrote this down. So this is also important. I think I wrote down, I journaled what I really like, what's my why? And I know it's very cliche, but like, well, what do I get out of this? And I like really enjoy meeting wonderful people and sharing their stories. I get to be creative as well. So it's like creativity, meeting kick-ass people and telling the story. And then of course, if I can impact someone along the way, it's very, very, very exciting. And I've been able to meet the man in the iron lung, a guy who bought a rusty oil platform in the middle of the ocean and turned it into the world's most dangerous hotel, to
That's crazy.
to these entrepreneurs in Mexico who created vegan leather, which is not leather, it's actually cactus leather, but they created this cactus leather that's being put in Mercedes and BMW and H&M and all these brands are doing crazy stuff with it. And it's like, yeah, I met those people and told their story. That's fun. That's exciting. And that's really where the satisfaction comes from.
Yeah.
And then, getting people to be like, oh, I like this. That's cool too. So it's not about the TV or the car that you drive. That stuff doesn't really fill the whole.
Well, it's your impact and it's your ability to enjoy what you're doing while you're making an impact on the world around you. Like that's the essence of living. Yeah. Like that's
I
it.
think we all have that in common. I can say that with great confidence for sure. So, Mitch, it has been absolutely awesome to have you join us today. This has been so nice. Thank you so much for just creating some time today to sort through all the things. I'm wondering if you would like to just kind of share one thing that you would like our audience to walk away from, one key thing that you would want our audience to walk away from in this episode. Whether knowing, believing, anything like that.
I would say that if like you don't need to have a near-death experience to like really restart your life. So you have you can start your day over and your life over at any point. I think we wait for the New Year's to like start a thing. I think it's that pain that really can motivate us and light a fire under our butts to like really make a change. But maybe you're the type of person who can just say, this isn't working and I want to make a change. So let me go for that now. So don't be afraid to do it. And then don't be afraid to pivot and pivot and pivot and pivot again, because it's all temporary.
That's right. Yeah, it's your play. You get to write the script.
Absolutely. I like to call those, so part of what I do for a living is I'm a wellness coach, and I like to call those cha-chas. Like, yes, it's a quick little change in whatever's happening. It doesn't it's not a brick wall that you hit, because I think sometimes we see those and we make them so huge in our mind and it feels like a failure, but like, it's just a dance move. You're just moving to the beat of the music that has now changed. So you're making a quick adjustment. And I love that, because it is important. Life is never going to go as we expect. Even those of us who love to plan, like sometimes things go awry and you have to accommodate that.
Absolutely. But enjoy that chaos. That's another thing. Enjoy the chaos of not having.
I'm all in on this lesson.
I'm working on that.
I am too, because I really like to have control over like the outcomes, but I put too much, and this is something I'm working on currently, is when I can't control the outcome. It's the whole serenity prayer, it's the whole stoic like mindset of just like putting in the work and then releasing the outcome. Like I can control your reaction or your outcome. Like
that's right.
Really working on that. Whew, that's hard. I think that's the key.
It is hard work. I hear you on that. All you can do is control what you say. You cannot control how someone responds, no matter what it is. So you just have to roll with it. But I appreciate that lesson, because it is about leaning into the discomfort, being true to yourself, being authentic to yourself and what your soul needs to continue that passion, that drive, and kind of what keeps you motivated. One last thing, is there anything that you wanted to share with our audience about whatever you're working on, or next steps, or anything that you like to promote before we close out?
You can find my videos on Snapchat, In Search of Mitch Summers. If you're a Snapchatter, probably not. I'm guessing by the audience. I don't know.
Hey, don't make judgments here. You don't know.
Well, hey, I will tell you, What the Fox now has a Snapchat.
It's true.
Awesome. So Snapchat, or you can find YouTube, Facebook. And I've been experimenting because of COVID. I've been doing a lot of remote stories because I couldn't travel as much.
Yeah.
So you'll see my favorite videos are the ones where I'm on the world's most dangerous hotel actually filming, but then I've sort of evolved into a journalist, not being afraid to pivot and doing remote stories about, should we put chips in our brains? Should we let Elon Musk put chips in our brains, and talking about that? Because I think it's kind of interesting. And it's kind of
people are talking about it. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm
up with the times.
YouTube, just talking about things that interest me or chasing stories like I love to do. And just send me a message, say hello, and I'll see you guys there.
That sounds good. We will be sure to bug you on all of your accounts, and we encourage our listeners to follow Mitch Summers on all the platforms he mentioned. But don't forget about us. Make sure you follow What the Fox podcast as well.
Absolutely. Do it right now.
Yeah, it was so fun to hang out with you, Mitch. Thank you for sharing a bit of your story. I do think that we've got a lot of opportunity for future episodes to include you. So I hope that we'll be able to get those coming out soon.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Thank you guys.
Thank you guys. We'll see you next Tuesday.
And we all sing, everything is gonna be just fine. It's gonna fall into place. The sun is gonna set on your terrible day.